All right, we are live. Welcome to this episode of Dogging It. We got the two mics at the U.S. Open sitting at their little table there. What's up, mics?
Two mics with mics.
Mike, get out of here.
It's early. I haven't finished my
Yeah, who
coffee
let that
yet.
guy in a sport coat?
You can't be having jokes like that around right now. Well, I tell
Well,
you,
hey, guys.
it's a lot going on this morning, Joe, and it's a we got hot button topics when Joey has got some fire under his ass because he messaged this morning and he says there's some things we got to talk about today.
At 6:30 in the morning, Arizona time.
Yeah. I
That is
popped up this morning at 4:30, and I was like, okay, I got to watch this Scott Hunter thing because I kept hearing about it all day yesterday, but I didn't see the video. And so I'm sitting there at 4:30 this morning watching the video, and I mean, I was pretty shocked at what I saw. You can't tell if Scott's shirt hits the ball or not. Is it nitty to call that? I believe it is. I'm going to have a million people arguing, it's the rule, it's the rule. If it's a rule, you got to call it, whatever. I would never call that, not one time ever in my life. If it meant me winning the U.S. Open, I would not make that call. Okay. Not that
Yeah.
that's relevant because there'd be a referee anyway. But then the biggest issue for me is this precedent, perhaps, that's being set that the incoming player, the non-shooting player, gets to make the call and it stands regardless, right?
Yeah, that's what seems to be the biggest, sticking point with most people.
Yeah. Look, I said we should cue up the video and show it, and you guys are like, "No, everybody see one of the first comments."
No, it's just long.
It's long too.
Long.
We're gonna
it takes a while.
Yeah, to get
It takes a
Where's
while.
the video? It's on Matchroom Pool on Facebook. You can check it out. But yeah, I mean, so like, give any situation in pool, right? Where there's no referee. Let's say it's one of those, if it's a close hit, right, somebody's going to call a ref. But sometimes it's unexpected, right? An unexpected thing, a double hit, something that you're just not anticipating. And when that happens, the player on the side says foul, or is that a foul, or I think that's a foul. And the player who's shooting either agrees or disagrees. And then the final ruling, when the referee does come over, goes with the shooter.
Right.
I've never seen a scenario where she's like, the guy in the chair calls it, and that's it. That's law.
Yeah, it's an interesting rule interpretation. That's for sure. I'm not sure how they came up with that. Whether this is I don't know. I don't know where they came up with something that deviates from the norm like that.
Well, I mean, listen, they travel all over the world. It wasn't like it was just some average referee, right? This is like a core part of their team, right? This is what's her name?
Well, yeah, no, she's a terrific referee, and no one's questioning whether or not she knows her job. It's just if she's following the rule, when did they come up with this rule where it's in favor of the guy who's sitting in his chair?
Right.
That's what seems to be the odd
Well,
thing.
I mean, they're given a lot when it comes to integrity, right? Because then you have to, make the assumption that the person sitting in the chair is going to play, with, playing stand up, So,
well, I'll take the other side of that, and that's always been in favor of the shooter because it's kind of this gentleman's agreement where
in any other,
most shooters have called fouls on themselves when they've touched the cue ball, when they've touched an object ball, things like that their opponent didn't even see. So if you're going to take that gentleman's side of it, to me, you take the side of the shooter, assuming that he's going to play it straight, right? Now, obviously, the shooter in this case can't see whether or not his sleeve is touching the ball, but Jesus, unless a ball rolls 3 or 4 inches, give me a break.
Scott had just drilled a nice cross side, which we know how brutal these tables are, right? I mean, he drills it. He comes around 2 rails, gets dead nuts perfect, showed a lot of heart. And to be honest with you, listen, it's Scott Frost versus Hunter Lombardo playing rotation, right? I don't think Scott was in as good a position, obviously, being Hill as he could have possibly been. And to call that in that spot, for me and for a lot of people, it seems like nitty is not even the word that I was hearing yesterday, but it's certainly one that I'll use this morning live on a podcast. So
now, did she ask the crowd?
I think the guy just said it
guy
himself.
and that's the other thing. Okay. one thing about our sport is growing, and we're getting more people watching, more fans. Like, somebody needs to let dude know, hey, you don't talk about what's going on a pool table when you're in the stands. Okay, I've seen it a million times. I've been sweating a big money match or whatever, and a foul, a dispute happens, and they look to the rail. And what does the rail say every time, Melina?
Wow.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, nothing. Yeah. No, nothing. No.
Nothing. They don't get involved. Okay,
Because they
you
know
don't
better.
get involved.
It's like
I'm
one
sorry
of
if
those
I'm yelling.
unwritten rules in pool. You know, it's an unwritten rule in pool when, like, if you're on the rail and they ask you, you're just like, I don't know, what do you see? Because I know I didn't see a damn thing.
Yeah, and
You know?
It's
and
the
typically if
Goodfellas
somebody
approach. I didn't
does,
see nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't see nothing.
that's right. And typically if somebody does speak up, then they're in the camp of one of the players, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that,
That's the fear.
yeah. So I mean, you never listen to anyone on the outside. To me, it's Hunter says your shirt hit it. Scott says, I don't think my shirt hit it. It needs to go with Scott. And here's what I think. I think when Scott first leaned down, he did not have his shirt tucked in, and that's where it likely hit the ball. And Hunter probably saw that. But then Scott gets up and he tucks his shirt in, and then he gets back down to shoot the ball, and then Hunter's like, your shirt hit the ball. I think Hunter may have seen that the first time, missed the opportunity to say something, and then took advantage when Scott got down the second time.
For
That's
once
just
in
me.
my life, I'm agreeing with Ed Ladawi. You know, if you see him,
What
there
did
in
he
the chat,
say?
loose lips sink ship. Me and Ed finally see eye to eye on something. You know,
It was brutal. I just felt so bad for Scott. I was actually really surprised at how Scott handled that.
oh,
Not
so
that
was I.
not that Scott can't be respectful by any
We were at
means.
dinner and that's when the video came in. And I looked at Mike and I said, well, we better go downstairs because there'll probably be an altercation of some sort here in a little bit, you know, so we better go head back to the venue.
Well, Scott's smart
Well-
to take the high road at this point because 99.9.99% of the people are in his favor. So you don't want to do anything that all of a sudden makes anyone sympathize with Hunter. So you're just going to take the high road and say, "Listen, it is what it is. I'm moving on," which is smart, which is the stand up thing to do and the smart thing to do. And so he's taken that approach. And you know, I don't want to be Hunter walking into this arena this morning. I don't, I want to be his opponent.
Yeah. Well,
wanna
no,
be his
because then you're
opponent
gonna
today
have a
because
lot of eyes on you just in general because of the drama from
everybody's pulling for you.
Yeah,
Everybody in the room is pulling for you to win.
yesterday. Well, but I don't think Hunter's ever been like that fan favorite kind of guy.
No,
anyway,
but no one went and
even
watched his
more so.
matches to start with.
Yeah.
But now he's going to have a crowd around his table, and
Look,
they're all
it's
going to
the-
be rooting for him to go down in
Well,
flames.
It's the U.S. Open, and there was like a crowd around Hunter Lombardo and Scott Frost. This just shows you like how exciting the event can be. You know what I mean? Like it was late night too, so it was the last round of the night. So, yeah, I don't think anybody expected the drama in that match. But listen, Hunter is fighting for points right now. You know, that's a big difference because
That's the funniest thing is what does this do for Hunter's chances for Mosconi Cup?
This does so much. This to me, this eliminates him. There's no way Jeremy's picking him if it comes down to a pick. Just not happening. And I've often thought about with Hunter, no offense to the guy. I've seen him out playing. We've talked before. I've often thought about like, how's he make a living doing this? Because he goes to a lot
he
of
does good on
events.
training. He makes good money doing lessons.
Okay,
out there,
but he wins his 2 or 3 matches a tournament,
Right.
and beats the players he's supposed to beat, and usually loses the players he's supposed to lose. And I started thinking about like sponsorship and who all sponsors him, and then how this is going to look for them. And I was like, well, this is not a good look. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, this is probably the biggest news for Hunter Lombardo ever. Just getting at.
Listen,
Like,
let me tell
sometimes,
you, if I'm Jeremy, what I do is I'd like that guy up as my co-captain because when some drama goes down, I'm sending Hunter in to go get after Team Europe. That's what I'm doing, So I'm pulling his application. I'm saying, listen, you ain't got it. You ain't getting on the team, but we need some muscle. Small he is to go and handle the confrontations.
I mean, honestly, do you think he's ever really been in a conversation as a serious consideration for a wild card?
Well, no, but the reality also, very much in contention when it comes to being in points because of the way that the U.S. players have gotten points throughout the year, that could really be a decent move for him if he continues to have progress. Which in his next match against the Italian, I mean, he's not a favorite, but he's not an underdog either.
Right.
And
It's pretty even up.
Joey was talking about his game. I've seen Hunter a little bit over the last 4 months, man. I saw him out in Sacramento. His game has gotten better relative to what I've seen in the past. I mean, I don't think that he'll make a run and get into the semifinals here, but could he win a few more rounds? I think he can. I wouldn't be like a year ago, I'd be very surprised, but now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me say this: from being in Arizona now for a while and knowing Scott Frost pretty well, there's a time or two that I've seen Scott Frost get into an altercation. Okay,
Oh, come
and let's
on.
just
No.
say,
Are you
yes,
really, Joe?
and let's just say when
Never.
it happens, like he'll put a little bit of fear in you. Like he's got a booming voice and he'll get loud, and he's a pretty big guy. And so I was fully expecting when that video started. I'm like, oh, here it comes.
I was real disappointed that it happened. I wanted to, I wanted some, you know.
Well, I'm thinking, here it comes. But man, Scott kept his
there he
composure the
goes.
whole
There he
time.
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he kept his composure the whole time. I think that might have been the Blooms in his camp that were kind of talking from on the side in his favor, there towards the end. And that goes into why like spectators shouldn't get involved anyway, because you got like some random dude 20 feet from the table saying, I saw it. And then you got Scott's camp who's like knows he's being wronged or feels he's being wronged. So they're speaking up and the referee's kind of giving them attention, looking over the side. It's a problem, like if you're on the rail, public service announcement. If you're on the rail, don't ever say a word. Thank you. Okay.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think he fouled?
Me?
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible that by the book, his
Of
shirt
course,
hit
it's
a ball.
possible. I mean, you could tell by the first time he went over the table that he was concerned about it.
I think
he had the shirt out and it was hanging all over. So then he tucked it in. So is it possible? Is it something that I'm going to call sitting in that chair
Never.
at 8 to 8?
Never.
No,
Not in a million years.
Never.
I would warn someone before I would make a call, right? I would say, hey, man, listen, it looks like your shirt's touching balls. Maybe you want to tuck it in, something like that. I'd hate to see you get a foul called on you because of that. That's the way I would handle it. And I'm telling you, if he did foul, I think it was before he tucked his shirt in. And I think Hunter then used that second opportunity. I want to make this point, though, too. I'm seeing a lot of comments and, when we see these comments, we don't always know where people are from, right? But it just kind of has this feeling that a lot of European fans are kind of by the book on this and proper. Like if the shirt hit the ball, it's a foul, dead set. And a lot of Americans are kind of, it seems like in Scott's camp, like, hey, that's a nitty thing to call anyway in that situation.
Stephen Fleming has a good point. Stephen Fleming has a good point. The ref should have squashed the spectators immediately. I agree with that. They should have never welcomed or immediately just put it.
As long as she didn't take any of their comments into consideration, it's fine. And it's,
how do we know that?
If she says, they didn't influence me at all, then I'm going to believe her. She's a professional at what she does. She's actually very good at what she does. And as far as what you're saying about the Europeans,
Scott said his shirt didn't hit the ball. Are you going to believe him?
How would he know when he's not looking at his shirt?
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's impossible for him to know whether or not his shirt touched the ball. That's
and that was her argument yesterday too.
So it's impossible for him to know. But I will say your comment about the Europeans and following rules. Listen, I'm all for the rules being rules too.
You're such a stickler, Mike,
but that's when a referee's at the table. If she was refereeing that match and she said his shirt touched, I'm going with that all day long.
Look,
right? But now we're in a situation where a referee's not at the table,
right,
and things get a little sideways, a little wonky, and that's where it comes into what's the letter of the law and what's nitty and what's not nitty and whatever. Because then you are leaving it up to gentlemen's rules to a certain extent at that point.
One thing I will say in favor of the referees, because I've been here longer than Mike and have seen a lot. These guys are working nonstop. They're here from the first ball to the last ball. They are doing their best, and it's not like they're understaffed. It's just you can't have a referee for every single table. That's just not a reality. I think that Scott fouled, but I think it was extremely nitty to call it. And like we've seen in every other aspect of pool, right? Who does the shot go to? The shooter,
Shooter.
right? The shooter goes to the shot goes to the shooter. So in that case, he may have fouled Hunter. I don't know what the hell you were thinking calling that, but it should have been Scott for my money. And
And
listen. He just drilled that bank. That was the sickest part. He was getting out.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, and I'd like to see it in writing where that is a rule that whatever the player in the chair says or calls, when
That's
a
what we're going
referee
to
is,
investigate, Joe. We're going to be on that
I
this
really want to know
morning.
that, because think about it. If that is a written rule, that's a big problem. Okay, because you're relying on the integrity of players, and I get it. And this is one reason I made the distinction between Europeans and Americans. We know in America there's a lot of gambling, there's a lot of money, and we've seen some shady stuff, right?
yeah.
So I could easily see, you know, a player in the right situation, a certain type of player, right? 99% of them no, but that certain 1% of player who in a various, whatever situation, guy's about to get out on the hill, it's like, hey, there's a foul. And it could be something even more
Well,
egregious than a shirt foul. It could be like, hey, you double hit the cue ball when the guy totally didn't double hit the cue ball. But if they say they double hit the cue ball, now that's the rule.
it was it was a similar situation with the Mario match. And I saw Mario, Josh, and Lechner talking with Marcel. There was a lot of drama in that match, and it was Hill. The guy comes around 2 rails to kick a ball. He's the guy who shot says he clipped the ball on the way in, then it came and clipped the ball out, but then there was no ball after contact. Mario and the rest of the crowd were saying you didn't hit the ball first, you hit it from behind, then the ball goes down, nothing ever hit the rail. Mario asked him once, what happened? Or did you foul? I don't know. Then all the drama started. Then Marcel says, you got to go ask him again because it goes to the shooter, right? Mario asked him again. Then he says, no, he didn't foul. Talked to Naoki Oi after the match. He walks up to us after I interview Mario. He says, it was 100% a foul. Everybody in the world saw it. So it's like, it's a similar situation, but it's different principles.
So you're saying that Marcel went over there and gave it to the shooter?
Yes.
So then there's contradiction.
That's what I'm saying.
There's contradiction in the rules right now.
Exactly.
But it's always gone to the shooter, though. It's always gone to the
Look,
shooter.
one thing I know,
this year that was different.
Every event, every Matchroom event, there's one controversial moment, right? And Matchroom even posted this on their Facebook. So I think Emily slipped. I think Emily slipped Hunter an extra 100 and said, "Hey Hunter, do me a favor, call a shirt foul on Scott. We'll make this." I'm just kidding. Oh, they dropped off. The feed got cut. Hold on, let me turn off the graphic. Hold on. I was like, Matchroom cut off the feed as soon as I said that.
That's right. As soon as you mentioned their name, they're like, okay, shut these guys down.
They just cut
the power on us here. Yeah, we'll make sure the door's locked here, boys. No.
Listen, I get, again, I'm gonna go back to one little sticking point, and it's I get the goes to the shooter when you're talking about double hits, when you're talking about a close hit on 2 balls, that type of thing. On a shirt foul, it can't possibly go to the shooter because there's not a possible way in the world he could see a shirt.
Look,
I think you can't call a shirt foul when there's no ref.
There's guys.
That's an interesting point.
If you walk
if balls
in the room,
moved, that's one thing.
Yes,
but if
totally.
you're talking about,
if you walk in the room, 99% of the players have their shirt tucked in. They're wearing a specific style.
So now you're blaming Scott.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. No. I'm just saying. Like, don't open yourself up to that opportunity because everybody else, or majority of these guys that are here left, they play regularly. They know that listen, I'm not going to open up any kind of possibility. They all play a certain way. They just do. And I'm not blaming Scott. I'm not saying it was the right call, any of that. But you open it up to that possibility when you play like that. You just do.
I don't want to see players playing without a shirt on. That's.
I heard a story yesterday. No, all right, listen. Let's talk about the event, you guys, because there's a lot going on when it comes to the match play outside. And listen, let's just be realistic. It's a great talking point, but I don't think either one of them are going to be winning the U.S. Open. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, fine. Well, let's get over the bracket.
None of us in the pool had either one on our team.
They were not in the draft.
Joey, did you have Hunter or Scott?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
if they're not on our fantasy teams, they don't matter,
They
right?
don't
That's how
exist.
this works.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
But no, let's get on to the winners qualification matches. We got some good ones coming up for you today, guys. They win this one, they're into the 64, so it's a big match
Right.
here. Nobody wants to lose. We got FSR versus Mickey Kraus. Mickey coming off a big win over Gangflot,
Yeah.
and FSR cruising so far. What do you guys think of this one?
I've not, honestly, I haven't seen FSR play. I just got in yesterday afternoon, so I haven't seen him play yet. But obviously Mickey Krause has his hands full, but he's got to be feeling, pretty good after
Right.
beating Gangflot yesterday and winning on the hill. And so you come into today with a little bit of confidence, and you're one win away from getting to that final 64. It's going to take everything he's got to win this match, but he's probably got himself set up in the right spot headwise, right?
I mean, without a doubt, and listen, it's not the Francisco of a year ago. Let's just be honest, but even still, Francisco's like A- game is better than most guys' A++ game. So Francisco's supposed to win, but Mickey wasn't supposed to beat Gangflop for my money, and he did. So can he pull off the upset? We'll see, but I think it's a lot more competitive after seeing a little bit of that Mickey and Gangflop match.
All right, moving on down. We have Ralph Souquet. Great match yesterday with Ralph and Earl.
I started having Mosconi flashbacks during that match.
Well, I'm sitting there watching the match, and as much of grief as I've given Earl over the last year and a half after he was selected for the Mosconi, and then I felt like he underperformed. It's amazing how well he still pockets balls. I mean, I put him up against anybody on ball pocketing. He hits balls 4-inch pockets, dead center of the pocket, even in pressure situations. Jeremy comments on it during the match where he's like, you look at this shot, it's
amazing,
a difficult
right?
shot. His stroke doesn't break down. He's so relaxed, a beautiful stroke. He got back into that match, but at the end, just couldn't get that breakdown and broke dry a few times, and Ralph ends up getting the victory. But Ralph goes on to play.
Everybody wanted to see Earl win in that room. Outside of Ralph, there was generational players there. There was like young European players there. There was older American players there. There was a ton of fans. It was, looked like a senior citizens convention on one side of the rail.
Don't look at me when you say that. Don't look at me.
It wasn't meant to be. And when Earl wasn't in his own head, which was the second half of the match, because he was already on tilt and just said, "F it, I'm gonna just fireballs in." He's great to watch, and he can still execute. But in that middle part of the match, he was a little tilted. That's for sure.
Yeah, and
but he was really good at the end of the match. I mean, at the end of the match, he was applauding. He stood up. He talked to Ralph for a couple of minutes. It was like, you talked to him yesterday, right, Mike?
Yeah.
It's a different Earl here right now. He's a little more measured, a little more like under control. He's not,
he's not going completely off the air, but you can see like in times when people were applauding Ralph's early wins, when like maybe they weren't like the most cleanest or whatever, like Earl was sarcastically there clapping. You know what I mean? Like it was a little okay, I get it, good out. Like what I'm saying? So just pump the brakes a little bit.
So, anyways, Ralph and
listen, we all got
Kunlun Wu.
all got Wu Kunlun to beat Ralph. I mean, Ralph's a great story, but listen, he just switched cues. Wu's a killer. I'm going with Wu. I think all you guys are.
Wu too.
Yeah. What he switch cues to, Mike?
He was with Predator for like over 20 years, and now he's with Arthur Hughes from Germany.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay. No. Yeah. All right. Moving on down, we have Conrad Jujician against Roland Garcia.
I think it's a lot closer than maybe a lot of fans may think, because Roland is just a crafty veteran, and he just always seems to be in contention. I don't think pressure is going to get to him, although from a skill set standpoint on Matchroom Arena, you got to favor Conrad a little bit. I think it'll be extremely close. I think it'll go to Roland if it's in that like 6-6, 7-7 range. But Conrad should win because this is his arena.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be a closer match. Certainly in that middle portion of the match, I expect it to be like a 5-5, 6-6, 7, even 7-7 type of thing. But I expect Conrad to put it away.
Yeah, I like Roland in this one. I'm going to go contrarian. I'm taking Roland. All right, Robbie Capito coming off two pretty easy wins, 9-0, 9-2, and he's going to face Wojciech. Wojciech, he's just so steady. Every time we see him, he's getting deep in tournaments. He's winning big matches.
Right.
I got to like him here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you have the Polish five. You take them all until they tell you otherwise, because you know that three of them at least, at least four of them are going to get to the final 64, and you know that three of them are going to get to the final 32 or 16. So you can't guess which ones are going to lose. You just keep rolling on all of them, and you're going to come out ahead.
Wojciech is the most underappreciated but well decorated out of the group. He's a world champion, and Joey hit the nail on the head. He's steady, and so Robbie on the other hand was kind of a flash for me, in hindsight. But with that score line, it can be a lot more competitive than maybe I would have initially given it credit for. I'm going to be looking at that matchup, but it's more to see like where's Robbie really at than anything else, because I expect Wojciech to win.
Yeah, likewise. Moving on down, we have maybe the surprise so far of the tournament, which is Corey Deuel, who had a real nice victory over Lil
Thanks for
Co
reminding me. Yeah.
in round two.
Right.
And yeah, that's right. And Molina picked against him in round one as well. But he goes on to face Omar Al Shaheen in round three of this. What do you guys think on this one?
I'd love to see Corey win this. I mean, Corey's Corey. He's just interesting. He's just, he said, I don't really haven't really played much. I rolled in, borrowed somebody's cue.
Verbatim, that's what he said. Yeah.
Hitting balls, and he still does the Corey things at the table that you've seen for all these years, which are, some of them are, head scratchingly good, and some of them are head scratchingly bad. And, and Omar, we haven't really seen a lot out of him in the last couple of years.
Nope.
But he's into round three, beat Donnie Mills. He's supposed to, but still, it's.
I don't know at this point who's supposed to win. I really don't know. I think this is as close to a flip as you can get. I don't even know like who would be more of a favorite when it comes to fans. Maybe Corey, because it's the U.S. Open and we're playing here. But I really don't know. I mean, flip a coin. I got no clue on that one.
So going into this event, we were talking about a lot of Americans that were kind of on the cusp for Mosconi consideration, talking about
not
Lucas,
a part of that group
DJ. Yeah, Corey was not in that conversation. But if he can string off like three more wins here and get down to like the 16,
poor
what
Jeremy.
do you guys think? You got to talk about him.
Jeremy. I said poor Jeremy.
I think that he becomes part of the equation a little bit by default, because you've seen Billy Thorpe struggle in recent tournaments, and he's won 3 matches here, but two matches here, but didn't look particularly. He's injured. He hurt his ankle, but didn't look particularly good in the first match. And then you got Shane Wolford, who went out really quickly in this event. So that's what all of a sudden makes Corey not an afterthought anymore, because these other guys aren't. You're still looking at that at least number 5 pick, which is completely up in the.
I mean, that'd be something pretty remarkable for Corey to get in.
Yeah, it does. It does. But can he do it? Can he win 2 more matches?
Is that enough for you? If you think he's to getting
if he's 32 to 16, I think he's more serious part of the equation of Jerry's decision making.
I mean, he's literally said it himself. He hadn't played all year. Like, I get going on a decent run, but there's guys who've been playing all year. Yeah.
I mean, Shane Wolford's missed a lot of tournaments. Billy Thorpe's missed tournaments. None of these guys have played in every event.
It goes back to the argument. Nobody's kind of separated themselves.
That's why why he's into discussion if he wins another match or two, because no one's separating themselves from the pack.
I love the Cinderella story, but Lord help us if Corey goes. So
maybe with the wild card, I think they should pick Corey and Earl.
There you go.
Yeah, I just think winning 2 or 3 more matches here at least gets him in the conversation.
100%.
Provides an interesting kind of talking point for us. But moving on down, we have former champion of this event, Carlo Biato, against Dennis Grabe. What do you guys think of this one?
Very good match. I mean, Carlo is a former champion, like Joey said. He's going to go into it as probably, I'd guess, going to 9, a 2-game favorite over Dennis. But Dennis has shown recent form. He's had good success out there in Michigan. He seems to be a lot more comfortable. I spoke with him a little bit yesterday. He liked the format. He loved the event, the break as well. And so he wasn't like in his own head like I've seen before. Like, he wasn't already tilted before he put his cue together. So, Carlo is just the epitome of what a monster is, and he can go all the way. He can win this event. He's won it before. So Carlo's going to be the favorite, and that's who I take.
Yeah,
and I would lay the games. So,
how many games would you lay?
I'd lay the 2. I'd lay the 2 as a push. So, like in other words, if Dennis got the 7, I'd say it's a push. So
I think that's a good line.
Yeah.
Well,
Big matchup in this next one.
Carlo's in form. He's coming off a victory at Rax, 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, that's true, Joe. Good point.
So moving on down, we have Sanjin versus Tyler. I know you spent quite a bit of time with Tyler since you've been there.
What's that look?
What? I'm just saying. No, I just didn't say anything. Yeah.
But he seems to be feeling pretty good. He's, he talked a lot about how he's treating his body off the table, like eating well, exercising, things like that. And he thinks that's playing a real difference here. You think he can get by Sanjin here?
He's supposed to now. It's different than a year ago. I would have said no. This year, he's supposed to. And I think that it's not just something you say and kind of being a homer or unrealistic. I think that Tyler's supposed to win this matchup. I like him to win this matchup. Line-wise, it's probably even. But, yeah, give me Tyler. I mean, that kid, I got a lot of respect for Tyler. In on the pool table, off the pool table, he's a great role model, but his game is solid.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's playing really well. He's playing solid. If I'm Jeremy, this is kind of an important match confidence-wise for me as the captain and for my team going into Moscone, because I do think Tyler's on that team, but I want to see him win matches like this, especially when you're seeing the guys behind him not step up and show that you're going to be strong at number 4 and number 5. So you really need your number 3.
He's going to be more of a leader for sure.
Yeah, you need your number 3 to be a points winner, right? And so a match like this against Sanjin, to me, from Jeremy's viewpoint's got to be an important match. Say, I really want to see Tyler go out and win this match.
These aren't like typically the big names that you would see on a TV table, but I'd love to see this match. I hope it is gets drawn to the TV table, because I think it's a good matchup with 2 really strong young players.
Got a doubt.
Well, the TV table's got to go to the next match, right?
Our Q-Tech matchup here, our buddy Nick De Leon facing off against Fedor Gorst. He had a good win over Bauder yesterday, and I sent him a message and even posted on something I saw online and said, "Oh, you got an easy one next match." But Fedor passes by Payne McBride 9-3. He seems to be in cruise control right now. Any chance of Nick getting the upset here?
Crickets. Look, I love Nick. Nick was not supposed to win against Bader. He held his poise and composure and handled his job. But Fedor's a different animal. I think Nick, while I love the guy, he can still get a bit like starstruck, and I don't want to have like a moral victory with Nick. I want Nick to turn into a killer, and I'm rooting for the guy, but I don't think he's going to get there.
We saw him last night. He mentioned while Fedor, I've played him in each of the last couple of events, so I'm getting a little more comfortable playing. And I kept thinking, keep telling yourself that, buddy.
Yeah.
Because,
look, whatever it takes to grab something and hold on to some strands, do it, Nick. Do
Look,
it.
He's got to go into this match believing he's got a chance to win and not trying to figure out where he's going to line up the post-match selfie with Fedor. Okay, if he does that,
God. If he
does that, he might get some games under his belt. But I'll tell you one thing that Nick has going for him. He's really breaks these balls well. He's been practicing this break. He does have a good break, so it's possible for him to get on a roll.
That's actually true, because he told me he was practicing with, I think it was Shane and Sky out there at the Q-Tech booth, and even they were asking, how did you break the balls? And that's how much they were paying attention to Nick's break. And that's, honest to God, the truth. So
he's definitely a student of the break. So moving on, we got to
upset alert.
I'll take +5, and I won't be happy about it.
Well, speaking of upset alert, is there an upset alert here with BJ Ussery and Albin Ocean? This is obviously a big match for potential Moscone consideration.
If you want to, get yourself into the discussion, this is the match.
I mean, and especially considering what everybody else has done, right? We saw Lucas lose, Wolford's out. BJ, although he's won a World 9-Ball Tour ranking event, he's kind of been like the stepchild in a lot of conversations. At least, we haven't maybe given him the respect that he deserves. He had a strong comeback victory against Joao, who went deep in I think it was the Spanish Open, showed a lot of heart. But this is the litmus test. This is where you see where you're matching up at. We know who Albin is. We know how decorated he is. We know how hard he can play when it's time, and it's time for Albin, because also he's got things to prove as well, because he's fighting to get on Team Europe also. So this is going to be a fantastic matchup. I cannot wait to see who wins this one.
Yeah, another one that probably won't get the TV table, but I hope it does. So, moving on down, we have Chris Reinhold versus Thorsten Holman. Chris coming off that big win over Mika Immonen.
Yeah,
Thoughts on this one, guys? Can Chris get there?
of
Of course he can get there. I mean, you got to look. They're both aging Hall of Famers, but I think Mika was a stronger win than I think he's more of a favorite.
Mika was for sure a
Thorsten.
stronger win
Yeah,
than Thorsten.
Thorsten would be. So does Chris have a chance here? Yeah, and obviously he's playing pretty well, confident. And then there's another guy. All of a sudden, you got another name in the discussion. So it's like, we went from a month ago talking about the top 4 is set and number 5 looks like between 1 or 2 guys. Now you're looking at 4 and 5 open up to 5 or 6 guys now.
Yeah.
Just in one tournament.
Even Jeremy said it was open to 10.
Because guys aren't showing their form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about it. So we had Lucas and Shane kind of, at one point, Shane Wolfert was kind of what we thought would definitely be in there as like number 4. And Lucas maybe as number 5. They don't turn out as well in this tournament, but then you got other players that are stepping up and doing some things. So I think that's a good point.
And if you're a captain, this was the event where you're like, okay, this is the event. This is really, you don't expect a lot of guys to go to Asia. So this was going to be your late in the year.
If you're a Chris or a Corey, and if you do have a good run, you better book a plane ticket, because I think that's the only way you're going to get in. If you skip Asia and even if you make a decent run, I don't think there's any chance for me.
Yeah,
really?
Possibly.
Yeah, no, I don't. Short of let's say
it's on the other side of the world, Melina.
Yeah, but listen, there's
You're
also
so hardcore.
No, there's also other things. It's like that's what Matchroom looks at as well. It's like they want guys who are participating in their events. That's
but what I'm saying is the guys who you think that they've got no chance of overcoming at this point to get on Mosconi, they're not going either.
Well, you mean like Lucas and BJ
and Shane Wolford is not going to Asia. Is Chris Reinhold going to Asia?
Yeah, but
so
where
Wolford
sits at isn't where Corey and Chris sit at. There's a difference,
right? But Corey turns that around in this one tournament if he does well, and Wolford is already gone.
You want to bet who's going to make the team between them? Huh?
No,
right, moving on.
I still have Shane Wolford making the team.
Do I have to get security for you guys? Do we have to get a ref?
Scott Hunter ain't got nothing on me and Mike over here.
So moving on, another Polish.
Your shirt touched the microphone, Mike. Foul.
Misko Fortunski against Imran Majin. Who do you guys have in this one?
Imran.
Really? Oh, really?
Oh, man. I do too.
I had to jump you on that.
I do too. I like
Imran
on this one, man.
Do you? Why?
Because Imran just always gets there, man.
Find a tournament like this where Imran doesn't get to that 64.
Yeah, he does.
He gets there every time, and he beats someone along the way that you're like, man, I didn't see that one coming. Misko's the type of guy who can beat anybody in the world, but then, it wouldn't shock me to see him lose to Imran.
Yep.
So I'm going Imran here 100%.
This is one of those matches where it may not matter as much, right? Whoever wins this match will be in the 64, and whoever loses might get to the 64 as well. Probably has a good point, chance
Joe. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I don't think either one goes into it not worrying about winning, but
True. Next matchup here, Sullivan Clark from New Zealand, right, Mike? Facing off against
you guys got your flags figured out yet?
Is that right, Mike?
I think so. I
thought it was Australian.
So I mean, this is one of those matches where Sullivan probably wakes up this morning and says, I can really solidify my place in professional pool if I can win this match.
He's such a smart guy. I spoke with him a little bit yesterday. I'm a fan of him, but he's up against it when it comes to Ko, because Ko is just in a different class for right now. And it's going to be very difficult, but I'll be rooting for him. I like both players. So,
yeah. All right, moving on down. Big match up here, Sky Woodward and Alex Pagulayan.
Cool. You want to talk about fan favorites? Who's the most popular between the two?
I have to say Alex because it's worldwide.
Alex for sure.
Alex is universally loved.
Yeah, everywhere he
Sky
goes.
is, but I mean not as universally known and loved as Alex is. Alex is, he's the Hall of Fame pixie. I mean, he's the guy that everybody loves to see walk into a room and smile and crack a bad joke and grab somebody from behind and pull their hair, whatever he does. You love seeing Alex in any tournament. You love seeing him go deep in any tournament.
Well, can he get there against Sky then? That's the next question.
I don't know why not. The guy's a world champion and still plays at a pretty good level, and so it's Skyler. It depends on where his game is during this match. I mean, we've seen Skyler have matches where he just doesn't play well.
Yep.
So,
what do you say, Joe?
I kind of like Sky in this one, but one thing that does concern me is that he's cruised through the first 2 rounds 9-2, 9-2, whereas Alex kind of had a sweater with the last one, beating the Bulgarian player Georgi 9-8.
So we just love saying his name.
Yeah,
I do, and not only do I love saying his name, but I really do. Just based on what I've seen and based on playing the tournaments myself, when you have that real sweater of a match early on, sometimes that tunes you up and gets you ready. So Alex is coming into this. If this gets late in the set and it's 7-7, 8-8, Alex has been there just in the last round, and Sky's been cruising. Get that off the
screen. Listen, Sky's supposed to win, but
is.
Because Alex is going to be a bit of an underdog, Sky's supposed to get there. The scoreline show that his break could be in form versus Alex, who had a bit of a closer one. I'm hoping Sky wins, but it's going to be close.
And Sky, really in most of these tournaments, these Matchroom tournaments, you're talking about Sky had easy wins. He usually struggles in the early rounds at these events. So it's kind of an anomaly that he's done well the first 2. And I don't know if that means that he's about to take a dive or whether he's in form.
We'll see.
Well, the next matchup, you guys have been talking about Billy and an ankle injury. I haven't heard about that, so fill us in on that. And he's playing Naoki Oi in this qualification round.
Yeah, he took a tumble down the stairs.
Yeah,
and it was pretty hobbled.
Really? He was down big I think, in his first matchup. Kind of got away with one, and then beating Natterberg in the second round was massive for Billy. And that's a big win because that young man from Estonia can play great pool. He's a world junior champion. And so to go into this match with Oi, where I don't think Oi has played like the Oi that we saw maybe 2 years ago, this sets itself up to be a pretty big matchup if you're Billy, because now you're fighting for your position and you're in points spot also. So, it's going to, all eyes are going to be on this matchup if you're Jeremy, for sure.
Yeah, this is a big match for Billy, big match for Jeremy to watch. So, this is one where, we keep talking about everybody trying to separate themselves and make their statements and things like that. Does a win like this for Billy getting into the final 64 and beating Oi to do it?
Well, according to you, Corey beating Omar, you're putting him as a number 1 pick. You're kicking Sky out of the team. So who knows if this is Billy and Oi? I'm just saying. So
moving on down, we have Jonas playing against Teng, the Taiwanese player who knocked off Kwok in the last round pretty easily, 9-3. That's a pretty surprising scoreline. What do you guys think?
Yeah, really surprising scoreline. I didn't see that match at all, but
it was a battle. Yeah, even though the scoreline was a little bit more lopsided.
9-3, it was a battle.
It was a nail biter. It was a nail biter. Maybe I'm thinking about a different match.
Every rack went to every rack came down to the 9 ball.
It was
Joey.
a moving fest. All right. I saw a little bit of it. No.
Look, it's only occasionally you misspeak, Melina, and we got to call you on it when you do.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I didn't have my coffee. Yes, Mike.
I gotta like Teng in this one. I mean, coming off that last win,
you couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
I couldn't, but I like him here.
Give me a break. Give me a break, Joe. All right. Let's talk about Joey's favorite player,
Jeremy Sasse.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Playing Jason Shaw here.
There's a lot of Americans in this round.
That could make a statement.
That could make a statement, make that final 64. And I'm not saying Jeremy Sosa is making a statement for Mosconi Cup, but from an American period and an American fan to boot, I'd love to see every American win in this round and move into that final round of 64 and make a statement for the state of pool and the country.
Jeremy's a grinder, and they got a lot of history because they're both out of the same area. They both know each other's game very well. I think both have a lot of respect for one another. Jason made a good point that, he's not playing for a paycheck, and that makes Jason Shaw real dangerous because he's playing more free, right? He's not like a pool player where he needs it to go to the next tournament.
He just bought a whole room full of new Rasson tables. So let me tell you, he's
yeah.
The bills are piling up.
No, but I just, Jason seemed a lot like, it's easy to say, but he looked the part. and I'll put it like that. And Jason's
But the
supposed to
one
win.
thing that I will say for Jeremy is that Jason can intimidate players.
Yes.
Jason's not going to intimidate Jeremy Sosi.
No, that's fair.
Jeremy is very like, nothing bothers him, nothing intimidates him. He just goes about his business. So you're not going to have that intimidation factor here.
That's true. But the bad news for Jeremy is we've gotten into September, and this is the time of year that Jason heats up. We said it time and time again. Jason can play terrible all through, the first 6-7 months of the year. And then he just starts thinking about Mosconi Cup. He starts heating up, starts playing really well. So Jeremy Sasse will have to pull off a great Masse in
Reggie
There's a mic drop moment.
God, I'm kicking you out of the podcast after that one. Listen, what Reggie Jackson was Mr. October, Jason Shaw is Mr. December in pool. He just gets up. So,
all right, next matchup we got Joshua Filler against Frank Candela. Frank with the Hill victory over Lucas in the round before. Any chances of Frank pulling off the upset here?
I think it'll be close to the first, 10 racks, but Josh is supposed to win. I think Frank's a grinder of a player. I got a lot of respect for him, but it's Josh. Everybody knows who Josh is.
So you call in another really tight match at 9-3? Is that
a barn burner at 9-3? Frank won his first 2 matches on the Hill. So if he needs a third on the Hill match, he's not going to win a Hill match against Josh.
Yeah. Moving on down, Tolian Han against Moritz Neuhausen.
The veteran versus the upstart. Everyone's going to pick Moritz. He's supposed to win. This is also a guy who's on the radar of Team Europe now. Kind of let the Jesse Engel match get away from him, and he really should have lost that matchup, to be honest with you. But Moritz, you better handle your business because, you're going to be under the bright lights from here on out.
I like Moritz in this a lot. Just because, I talked to him yesterday, and he brought up an interesting point. He said yesterday was a big day for him because it was an off day.
Yeah.
And he said he really had felt like he was, just out of steam.
Yeah.
So being able to take off yesterday, he said, I didn't hit a ball. I left the hotel. I went into town. I bought some presents for my mother and my sister so I wasn't get ragged at when I get home. And so it just seemed like he was in a better, he was in a good place mentally. He's like, okay, I got a 1 day recharge where I didn't think about pool. I didn't watch pool. I didn't play pool. And now I'm going to come back into today fresh and ready to go.
It's different now. There's expectations, right? He's not the kid pulling the upset. He's got the expectation now.
He's 19 and this is the way he's handling things already.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to use this day and I'm going to recharge and I'm going to not
it's
think
mature.
It's a maturity that you don't expect out of a 19-year-old pool player. I like him to steamroll this one.
Yeah. So going back to the round before, Han knocks off Shane Wolford. Shane Wolford then loses on the loser side. He's out of the tournament. And then he makes a post about being in a slump. And I'm curious with you guys, I kind of felt
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I kind of felt like that was a post that maybe shouldn't have been made. I understand his desire to do that, but I think that kind of hurts his Mosconi standing, right? Because, he's kind of,
at this point, I think he's either on the team or he's not.
Whereas a lot of good players are going to be 3 and out in this event, and they're just going to move on with it, right? But now he's admitted to being in a slump and, really struggling. And so I think that kind of hurts his chances a little bit. I wish he just would have moved on from this and went to the next event and tried to perform.
Have you seen that GIF where that point guard is picking up the chin of the center? You ever seen that, Mike? Do you know what a GIF is, Mike, by the way? No? Okay.
I thought it was GIF.
GIF, is it? Who knows? Maybe I don't know what it is.
That's the peanut butter.
It's like how you present the most positive thing. I love the honesty part of it, but it's like timing kind of has my head scratching here and that. So
if you're Jeremy Jones, it's not the post you wanted to see.
No, it is not.
You guys want guys coming in with a hot hand.
Yeah. Our buddy Rick Glasscock says that it was deleted. Sorry to cut you off, but I think he may have.
But he even posted after his first loss that he hadn't been playing well lately, and so he did it like 2 days in a row. He posted.
And to be fair, the gentleman he played to get out of the tournament yesterday played really solid. Like he got out when he was supposed to. He did his job. I mean, the ending was pretty brutal the way he scratched, but the guy played well.
There's no shame in being knocked out of the U.S. Open early, right? Anton Raga's out of the U.S. Open right now. Who would have ever thought that?
I think he's ashamed.
Yeah. All right, let's keep
All
on
right.
cruising, boys, because we got a few more matches to get through.
Yulong
Yu
Chang.
Lung against Tom Stavely. A little bit of a surprise here from Stavely last round beating Beasterbosch. Thoughts about Chang Yu Lung and Stavely?
I think that totally screwed Beasterbosch's chances of getting that Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, I'm getting right.
Well, no,
Whatever.
I mean, if he comes back through the qualification
Yeah,
side,
of course.
did he do that in the Spanish Open? Did he lose early and then come back through qualification and then finish second in the tournament?
No,
Or
I
no,
think-
he went right through?
No, I think he was
Yeah.
undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, he's capable of still getting back in that final 64 and making a run. So I don't think if this would have been an elimination match, I would have agreed with you, Pinozo. But I mean, he could still win this tournament.
Yeah, of course.
Talk about guys with a hot hand. It's Chang Yu Lung. You know, he's a very well-seasoned veteran. He's playing well right now. He's comfortable here. Tom with a great little bit of an upset, but he's a good player in his own right. I think Chang is just in a different category of player right now, and I like him to get through.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Khalid against Kazakis, round
kid.
3. Who you guys like?
Good. This will be a fun match to watch.
You like an upset?
No.
No, Alex is supposed to win. Alex is supposed to win, but there's a lot of people who are high on Khalid stock, and rightfully
Yeah.
so. He's still young, obviously not as seasoned as Alex is, for that. But yeah, I like Alex. I wouldn't be surprised if it was close though at the end.
Yeah, it could be close, and he is a good young player, and he's upcoming, and he hasn't won it, but sooner or later he's going to win one of these matches, right?
Of course.
And so, could this be the one? Sure, it could be. It's the type of player, that top level player, but not the top 10 elite type of guy. So it's the type of guy that maybe he could surprise. But if I had to roll on it, I would go with Alex.
There you go.
Last year's runner-up, Max Lechner and Babika in the qualification round. Who you guys like?
Well, we know who I'm taking.
There's no shame in his name.
He's
every
Max.
single
He's
time.
Max till he drops.
Look, man, Max is my guy. I'm a big fan of Babika. In my office, I got pictures with a lot of players, and Babika is one of them. I met him at the International years ago. I've always been a big fan of his game. But Max, and like the fan part out of it, Max is playing better right now.
Yeah, no, Max is playing strong again. He didn't. I didn't think that at the beginning of the year, but the last couple tournaments I've seen him, he's looked pretty good.
Yep.
Here's another intriguing matchup: Oscar Dominguez and Kang Lee. This one should be pretty close.
When we talk about guys who can make a wave, it's Oscar, and he's got to be able to he's got to have wins like this in order to do so. I call Kang the giant killer because every tournament that he's in, he beats players that for my money he's not supposed to, including the round prior against Alexa.
Yeah.
It's just what Kang does. I can't wrap my head around it. He's such a fun guy to root for, and always with a smile on his face. But if you're Oscar, you better handle your business for sure.
Yeah, this is big match. We talk about big match for everybody, but
Yeah.
it's a big match for Oscar. I
Yeah.
think he's we had dinner with him last night. He's excited.
Yeah,
He's not
motivated
just
for sure.
he's not just he didn't just show up here. He likes his chances. He likes the equipment. He likes the game that it's become by being able to use his savvy and his skills
Right.
to grind through racks, because it's not just break and run. So you could just hear it in his voice. There was excitement. I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to play, which you didn't always see from him or hear from him at a lot of tournaments in the past. So I like his motivation. I like his mindset right now. So I'm going to go with O here.
Yep.
So, Molina, as his official Mosconi campaign manager, at what stage of this tournament does he need to get to before you activate the grassroots
Pedro.
effort of pushing Oscar Dominguez to the Mosconi Cup?
Realistically, he's got to win a few more.
Yeah.
He's got to win a few more. While this is like the first goal is to get through single elimination, the job ain't done yet, and it's not going to get you there. As far as being on the radar more realistically, Oscar's confidence is where it needs to be at. His game is, relatively speaking, where it needs to be at, just considering the fact that he just changed equipment. But he's also a realist, and he's one of my best friends. I keep it real with him all the time, and but I like his chances. He's supposed to get there against Kang, but you better handle your business. You better.
Yeah.
So,
Where is he? Obviously, I should know this, but where is he in the points relative to third? Because
No,
thirds, I mean,
he's
Tyler
a bit.
and-
I think he's like on the tail end of 10, but it's
But what's
so
the separation? 5,000, 6,000?
between.
There's not a lot of separation at all in
maybe like
U.S.
seven,
points.
8,000, maybe like 7, 8,000.
Is it that much?
I think it's somewhere around there. I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Because he is playing in Asia.
Yeah, he
Right?
is.
So,
He's leaving.
so
to
you've got
Vietnam,
the
yeah.
U.S. Open in Asia. Billy is in that is ahead of him with points. Tyler's ahead of him with points. But if he's within 6,000, 7,000, something like that, a big run,
Talk
decent
about guys
run here
with
and a
experience.
decent run
Oscar's
in
got
Asia,
experience.
and all of a sudden, your points are up there. So
Yeah.
not out of the realm of possibility.
No, not at
Just
all.
because of the opportunity, because
Yeah,
he is playing.
there's
both
an
places.
opportunity there. You got to take it. For sure.
Guys, you got to follow your cues. I had already moved down like 40 seconds ago.
All right, let's roll.
Okay.
The Danny Hewitt, Miguel Silva.
Yeah, the Canadian Danny Hewitt pulls off.
Okay.
Who's
now
on,
mild
who's on
upset.
down?
Who's
Who's on
next?
down?
Who's next?
Yeah. No idea. I couldn't point out either one of these guys out of a lineup. To be honest with you, I couldn't. So
who you
no
like?
disrespect. give me the
I'll take
Portuguese
Hewitt.
player.
I like Silva's flag better.
Give me Silva. Yeah, I'll take.
Okay,
Silva.
I'll take Hewitt. You got to go with Canada here. Okay.
Big matchup.
We got
Yeah.
Lee Van with the victory over Roberto Gomez. He advances to play Mario He. I do have to point one thing out. I'm watching. It was right after the Earl match, I think, and Lee Van and Roberto are playing. And whoever's commentating that match is calling Roberto Lee Van, or Lee Van Roberto, and vice versa. And even Matchroom marked up 1-0. Who was it?
For the
1-0
wrong guy.
for the wrong guy. And I'm like, what is going on here? And thankfully, Carl Boyce comes into the booth, and then they get it all straightened out. But I was just really surprised by that. And I'm like, how far could this match go where they're calling out the
Before
wrong
they
guys?
realized, yeah.
Yeah, and
At least
here's
they
my
didn't say all
biggest issue
Filipinos
with it.
look alike.
Oh god.
Here's my biggest issue with it. They had their last names on the back of their shirts. So the guy's got Gomez on the back of his shirt, and he's like, yeah,
and
Lee
they still
Van's
can't
really
get it.
taking care of this rack.
Here we go.
Oh, gosh.
These Filipinos are really tight. They wear each other's shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No room for one
Uh,
another. Who do you guys got?
I think this is an intriguing matchup, and
It's a very good matchup.
obviously Lee Van's got tons of class and been around for a long time, but Mario, Mario's always winning matches. Sometimes where you might count him out or think, maybe he's a slight underdog. I kind of like Mario in this one.
Well, Mario's, he's not a guy that we talk about a lot for Mosconi Cup.
But he's in.
But he's in the hunt,
He's
and
in
you
there.
know that it's in his mind.
Yep.
And you know that he's thinking about it every match he's playing here. And so, I just think that he's got more to gain. I think he's got more on the line in this match. I think he's going to play
by
really
far.
hard and win this.
By far, and it's because of Mosconi.
Yeah.
But Lee Van is a feather in the cap because Lee Van, he's a champion. He's one of the most.
But feathers don't
feared
do it
players
to
in the
get on
Philippines.
Team Europe.
It's a
Mario's-
notch for the
feathers
bedpost.
don't do it for getting on Team Europe because he's not going to get a wild card pick. So
He's got to earn. Well, yeah, but this is like one step. But it's like if you're weighing guys towards the end, then you start looking at scoreboards. I feel like you're going to have to at some point, and just see how well, like in the sense of how well do you play tough players.
do you
Lee
see
Van is
any
a tough player.
scenario in which Mario He is a wild card pick?
No,
Not
not
if
this
guys
year.
not if guys like Filler and Jason and Albin are sitting out there. No,
Okay,
They
so,
are.
So then,
They
so
will
then
be.
they are. Yeah.
feathers don't make any difference. You got to get the points.
Mike with the second good point in the last 5 years.
Can I
Melina,
read
how much
now?
sleep did you get last night?
Yeah.
We're crushing you today. I don't know.
Let's keep on rolling along, boys.
Victor.
All right. Victor and Kim Lockinson. Kim Lockinson putting in a pretty good tournament so far. Good player out of Finland. I know Melina's going to go with Victor here.
I am. I mean, I think me and Mike are both big fans of his game and got a lot of respect for him. But it's not just fans of who he is or his game. It's that like we respect his game, and it's not a disrespect to Kim. But Victor is supposed to win matches like this. I expect him to win this match. I'm hoping he can go on a big run because if there's a player who I want to see turn the European Mosconi Cup rankings on its head, it's this guy.
Yeah, no, that would be cool to watch. That would be cool. And he's playing with, we talked about it after the Michigan thing, that he's, he hasn't had a ton of confidence through the middle part of this year. And Michigan helped him a lot. He said that, and he's comfortable, and he's been here a while, so there's no jet lag, there's no any of this type. So I feel like he's coming in here to prove a point. So yeah, I think that that he's got to really play some three cushion to not win this match.
Victor for
I'll
the
tell
win.
you, and while the Predator events obviously don't count for Mosconi points or consideration,
Yep.
To snap off the Michigan event and then come and go very deep in this event would obviously talk about the kind of form he's playing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, moving on down, we got Pius Labutis and Chang Jun Lin.
Look, I'm going straight draft class here. I'm rooting for Pius because I do not want to see Chang Jun Lin continue on a run. I don't even know who's got Chang. I think he's supposed to win, but for my draft points, I want Chang to go on the one-loss side. So,
Yeah,
I don't
and if
even
you
know
guys,
if I have him or not.
yeah, I don't
yeah,
even
if you
know.
guys are just tuning in, we did a fantasy draft before this, so Molina's kind of picking with his fantasy team here.
I'm trying to think who's even got him. Who's got Chang?
He went late.
Did he? Oh, here we go. Oh, Raymond. Oh, Raymond's out of the game anyway.
Yeah,
Raymond. Raymond took a
So
dive.
yeah,
We
he
ain't gotta worry
loses.
about
He
it.
loses
Never mind. Let's
Raga
go
and
Chang.
Chang, and
Let's go Chang. Never mind. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
All right, so here we have the Vietnamese player.
here's my favorite player in the tournament.
Kien
Yeah.
It's
and
not
Janiuski.
Kien. It's not Kien Du. It's the Kien
Yeah.
Du.
The.
This is the Kien Du. So he's my
All
favorite
right,
guy
the
in this
Kien.
tournament right now, and I'm picking him to win.
I figured your
Are ya?
favorite guy was Janiuski.
I'm done saying Yanni. He was the flavor of the day last year.
There you go. It's give me the Vietnamese player, but Yanni is the more consistent 9-ball player. I think it'll be close and it'll be a bit of a grind. But yeah, I guess flip the coin.
All right, we're getting down
Good
towards
match
the end,
coming up.
guys. We got Hasia against David Alcady. Hasia coming off a huge 9-1 victory over Gerson. I don't think anybody saw that score line coming.
Oh
And-
no,
He's a-
the
he's a-
guy
he's a
who
good
picked
player.
Hasia in the draft sure did.
Yeah. I wanted him so bad at the end of that draft. I snoozed it.
Yeah,
But
and obviously we
he's,
know what
he's a
David
really
can
solid
do.
player. He's a really solid player, and David's a guy who's he's fighting for that Mosconi spot too.
Yeah, I'm picking
mean,
David
that-
here.
Yeah.
Well, I learned my lesson a long time ago, picking against David in big spots and when it's time to grind. Hasia is a very strong Taiwanese player, but I like David here. I do. David, he looks like he's in a great headspace. We know how he can do on a matchroom stage. It's like all the boxes check off to David winning this matchup for me.
All right, moving on down. We have Niels Fyan against
good one.
Darren Appleton. Talk about a
Yeah.
matchup of classic European players.
Yeah, old school here.
Well, but guys that are fighting to stay relevant. I mean, I think Niels has a lot more realistic chance to make some waves, but Darren, like, it blew me away just him beating Gutenberger, who's a great Austrian young player, and just kind of getting back in form. Like, it's an inspiration of what Darren's doing, but Niels is here to handle business, it looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I agree with
Niels is a type of guy that for Darren's comeback trail and mental wellness, things like that. Not the perfect guy to play.
No.
Not the guy you want to see in front of you.
It'll be a great match. I'll be
It
watching.
should be great.
Yeah, we got Oliver Zolnacki against Chris Melling, qualification match.
What do you got, Mike?
I got Chris.
Really?
I just
You're taking all my picks, man.
I'll take Oliver in this one.
well, I like Oliver and he's a really good player, but who doesn't watch Chris Melling play in a tournament?
Yep.
So I don't want to see.
when
him,
you're looking at just style of play between Oliver and
Yeah.
Chris, I mean, you couldn't get more opposite.
yeah, completely
Yeah.
opposite. And I tend to favor the guys who are more enjoyable to watch. And
Like
Chris is he's just fun to watch.
if you look at who's had better form lately, obviously it's Oliver because he's played more events
Yeah.
in 9-ball. So, but yeah, I'm rooting for Chris.
But these are these events. Chris is always dangerous to a certain point of the event, to
Yeah.
that last 32, something like that for sure.
Yeah.
Still dangerous.
All right, we're getting down towards the bottom, guys. Jeffrey DeLuna and Aloysius Yap.
Well, I know who I'm rooting for. What do you got, Mike?
Aloysius.
I'm rooting for Yap too. And Jeff. To be fair to Jeff, he did look solid in his last matchup. I got to watch a little bit of it.
How's he
between
breaking the balls, Mike?
Daniel-
Is he hitting them hard? Is he because DeLuna's one of those that you see the pictures of him elevated in the air on the break shot, or is he hitting it more controlled? How's he doing it with the? Break?
It's more finesse, and that's the way you got to hit this break. But like it's finesse, but you still got to catch it, pretty full to come back into the pack. Yap is showing better form, obviously coming off of a final out there in Michigan, but I can't help but root for Yap.
Well, Yap was runner up in this event the year Carlo won it, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going Yap.
And
here
Yap
all
had a
night.
good tournament in Michigan.
Shane Van Boning, 9-2, 9-0 victories into round 3 against Marco Tucher.
Can Mark pull off the upset? That's the question.
No.
Joey?
Okay. Well, there you have
Thanks
it.
for the insight, Mike.
So, guys,
I try to keep my secrets a little under wraps.
that was fun. We went through the winners
Wait,
qualification
hold on
round.
a second. Marco's going to make it interesting. Mark my words. Marco's going to make it a lot more interesting a match than what it's supposed to be.
You
Shane's
think so?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, what do you think about running through the other side? Do you just want to kind of
let's take a quick look at some matches that we think are interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, not browse through every one of them because we've already gone on for like an hour.
You have them up there, right?
Well, there's matches already starting up right now.
Yeah, losers I think have already started, right?
Yeah, losers already started.
Let's see. I'm going up to the top of the bracket over here.
So you've got. I'm looking to see if there's any matches that do anything for me.
You got to
pull Paul Song.
No,
yeah, but
no.
Maciel.
Sam Henderson, Loso Hum.
Yeah, that's a good
Eric
one.
Roberts up 2-1 on Gerson right now.
Yeah, fan of Eric's for sure. Huang's trying to come through the one-loss side. Everyone liked him coming into the event.
Not a lot.
Sam Henderson is 2-2 with Loho Sum right now. He's won 2 matches now on the loser side.
Payne McBride, Badr Adewale.
Little Co still fighting. That's a pretty big matchup because a lot of guys liked him coming into the event as well.
And Earl's playing at 11:30.
Earl, there you go. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Gang plot.
Yeah, not a lot of really juicy matchups on that loser side yet. Later today, when it gets into these 32 that lose from up, when they get into that last round of the winners qualification, then it's going to get pretty interesting.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, Alexa and Babkin are playing right now. 1-0 Babkin. That's a pretty good matchup. So, yeah. Well, guys, this has been fun. We've had a bunch of people in here checking it out, but the matches have started. They're now streaming, so make sure you go check it out. I've been watching on DAZN, but are they streaming a second table?
Matchroom Multisport on YouTube. You guys can check it out, or Matchroom Live as well. So I think we're going to try to do something with Emily later. I know Mike's definitely doing with her this afternoon. I'd like to go live maybe after the winner side matchups to kind of talk about who went through. So if you guys are available to do something.
I'm here all day.
Yeah. Hey, guys, make sure you check out our Patreon. We're putting up exclusive content on there pretty regularly. It's patreon.com/doggingit. So thanks again for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you